Ciao, my name is Umberto Mucci and this is We the ItaliaNews, a weekly podcast about Italy. Today is Thursday, December 15, 2022, and this is the penultimate episode of We the ItaliaNews in 2022. After almost 3 years, we are all really very tired to hear more about COVID. It is exhausting, but on this subject, we have a strange situation, the one regarding next Christmas here in Italy. Compared to the last 2 years, there is much more freedom, of course. There are no restrictions at all. In 2020, we were in total lockdown. In 2021, it was mandatory to wear a mask and we needed a green pass to go to work, get on a train, or go to a restaurant. The situation today is that COVID is running very fast and definitely more than the same period last year. The number of hospitalizations is up, but proportionally less than the spread of positive cases, hence the inference that the virus is less aggressive. Those who are healthy and vaccinated in the face of a less nasty virus risk less than last year, as confirmed by the fewer admissions in the ICUs. The most fragile in some cases die without passing through the ICU, where usually those who are already advanced in age and with a compromised clinical picture are not admitted now. In essence, the frail, and all the more so if unvaccinated, are the victims of this umpteenth wave. However, 7.2% more people died in Italy in September 2022 than the average of the previous 4 years without COVID. In the meantime, the government has also changed in Italy, and those who won the elections last September have always been quite skeptical about the restrictions. And let's all hope we don't have to regret it, in Italy, even the isolation of people infected with the coronavirus, which today lasts for 5 days, will end very soon without the need to swab. Let's talk about enterprise with 3 different good news. The first is that plus 2% increase in Italian patent applications published by the European Patent Office in 2021 compared to 2022 was registered. To these, moreover, must be added the applications submitted by Italy to the EPO but not yet published, which makes last year's growth figure jump to plus 6.5%. compared to an average of 2.3% recorded in average by the European Union. The strongest sectors are pharmaceutical technologies, biotechnology and chemistry, which registered a plus 9.5% increase over the previous year in Italy. The second piece of news is that worldwide sales of luxury brands are growing and Italy is in the front row with 23 companies in the top 100. Prada Group, Moncler and Giorgio Armani are the top 3 Italian players in the ranking. The third good news is that 2022 closes on a positive note for the Italian startup ecosystem with a share of equity investments by Italian high-tech startups of 2.1 billion, 3 times more than the investments reached in 2019. One of the most talked about things in Italy these days is a bad news story in which a man killed 4 people during an apartment building meeting, what we in Italy call la riunione di condominio. Condominium meetings have traditionally been the cause of big fights in Italy. Research has shown that we are the most litigious in Europe on this, with Lazio, where the ugly event of these days happened, and Campania leading the list of regions. In the Italian courts, there are between 1 and 2 million cases pending between people living in the same condominium. Keep in mind that 7 out of 10 households in Italy are homeowners, and 28% of owner households own other properties. Italy is one of the countries with the highest number of homeowners in the world. I live in a condominium, and fortunately, there's never been a dispute in ours. But why do we in Italy fight in these situations? Now close your eyes and imagine a condominium building in an Italian city. It is the annoying smells coming from the kitchens of other apartments that are the main reason for verbal fights in buildings. In second place are annoying noises, the radio, music, TV at too high a volume, walking back and forth in heeled shoes, chairs and furniture moved around at all hours of the day and night. In third place are pets. dogs littering the yard, excessive barking, attacking other people, cats meowing at night. Fourth cause of altercations, on the other hand, is the wrong use of common areas. Cars parked badly in the yard, materials deposited in hallways, terraces used as storage rooms. Closing the rankings is the issue of plants, whether too much or too little, with leaves falling and water running off, and balconies, from which often fall dust and crumbs from tablecloths and carpets knocked from upstairs, or cigarette butts thrown down to the yard. Let's talk about money. Since COVID began, 2/3 of Italians have reduced their income, while 1/3 have come out with an income higher than pre-pandemic. If for half of what the survey calls losers, the loss over the 3-year period has been all in all small, reaching a maximum of 410 euros. On the other hand, for the 25% of those who have suffered a loss, it comes to 1,200 euros. And then there are those who lost the most, 3.6% of taxpayers who earn 35% less than in 2019. It means an average loss of 8,200 euros. But there are also those who went over 10,000. These are the weakest categories, mostly women over 30 with low incomes and a precarious job. 4 out of 10 have a child. Looking at the distribution of income from 2019 to 2021 in Italy, dividing the population into 5 parts, overall the poorest 20% declare 5.8% of income, while the richest 20% declare 40.9% of income, a ratio of 1 to 6.8. In addition, while there was over an increase of 1.5% at the national level, in Valle d'Aosta, Abruzzo, Molise, Trentino Alto Adige, Marche and Piedmont, household disposable income in 2021 had not yet returned to that of 2019, while the regions that did better in this matter are Lazio, Lombardy, Sicily, Umbria, Campania and Friuli Venezia Giulia. At the city level, there are 18 provinces that are worse off in 2019 than in 2019, particularly the less populated ones that are not keeping up with the large metropolitan areas. Those that are worse off are Venice in Veneto, yes, Venezia, Rimini in Emilia-Romagna, Fermo in Marche, L'Aquila in Abruzzo, and Aosta in Valle d'Aosta. And in spite of all this, Italians are back to saving. 53% of households put money aside. In 2021, it was 48.6%, and it is approaching the 55.1% we saw in 2019. Fear of the future also increases the share of income saved, now at 11.5% versus 10.9% in 2021. A few days ago, a very ugly and disturbing scandal broke out in Europe. Qatar and Morocco, the countries of Qatar and Morocco, bribed some members of the European Parliament to convince them to vote in favor of the two countries when their behavior regarding human rights were analyzed. It is the biggest case of corruption ever in European institutions, and unfortunately, among the 4 people arrested in Brussels, 3 were Italians. From this point of view, Italy is not making a good impression, on the contrary. But another data, smaller data, is emerging always at the European level that speaks well of us instead. The combination of strained household budgets and the annual desire to enjoy the holidays to the fullest are fueling a rise in fraudulent behavior, especially when it comes to e-commerce. That said, Italians appear to be more honest than consumers in other European countries. We are the ones who have cheated less, for instance 3 times less than the Britons, on product returns and complaints related to online purchases, false statements that an order was not satisfactory upon delivery in an attempt to get a refund and keep the product, and false claiming that a package never arrived to keep the article for free. This is good because unfortunately the scandal in the European Parliament has really damaged Italy's image in Europe. Once again, I managed to end this episode with good news. Italy is in the front row in the construction of the SKA Observatory, the largest radio telescope in the world, whose first phase of construction has a cost estimated at 1.3 billion euros. So far, 4 major contracts have been awarded to Italy for a total of 300 million euros out of the 450 million allocated to 50 contracts from July 2021 to present date. Once again, Italian technology proves to be one of the Italian excellencies. We're not just food and wine, even though our food and wine are amazing. Well, it's all for now. It's all for today. This was the penultimate video and audio podcast of We the Italian News for 2022. I'll see you next Thursday for the last one. Please stay safe and take care. My name is Umberto Mucci. Ciao from Rome.